Listen, this is going to be an interesting episode. I've really been running into a lot of people who've been dealing with breakups and divorce. I personally have been divorced, and so I know what that's like. And I've also had like a real true heartbreak, and I know what that's like as well. And I just feel like a lot of people are going through that right now and probably have no one to talk to, or probably don't even know what to do to get through it, or what they should do afterwards, after it's all said and done. What you need to do to become the best version of yourself and overcome that feeling of worthlessness, or just feeling like life is ended and there's nothing left. So I just want this episode to be raw, an honest message to those who are healing from a breakup and a divorce. It's really about giving yourself the permission to be in the in between stage and understand that no, you're not perfect. No, you're not whole, but you are ready to grow. You are ready to become uh, you again. So let's get into it. If you're ready to overcome and become yourself, especially after a divorce or breakup, stay tuned and let's get into this episode. So, first things first, it's not going to be easy. Um, my personal experience I'll just talk about my first heartbreak first. I, I, this took me about a month, maybe 2 months of sobbing and writing, journaling, just, staying to myself, dealing with this heartbreak. And some of you may understand what that feels like. It's not a good feeling. It's definitely not something I recommend people experience, right? But what it did for me in that time is it helped me realize that I had put all my heart and soul into somebody without even realizing that I'm also somebody as well. And I want to encourage you right now, if you are feeling that or have felt that in the after a breakup or after your divorce, it's okay to be in that feeling, but understand there's healing. Healing needs to take place, and you have to realize that you are somebody. And I don't know how long you were with this person and how long you guys were together, how long you were married, but there comes a time and a place where you have to understand that you are still you. You still have a purpose. You still have a life to live. And no, it won't be easy. But my hope today is to be able to give you some advice and some encouragement of things you could do to help you get through and help you heal and become your life, become yourself after this break, after this divorce, whatever it may be. And I also want to leave with this. You're not starting over, right? You're starting from experience. When you go through a breakup or a divorce, you have to realize that, yes, that was a difficult chapter in your life that has ended. But as you move forward, now you have experience to understand when things need a little bit more attention in the relationship, understanding when things are starting to look a little similar to, uh, the bad behaviors or the red flags, you will, that you've experienced before in your previous relationship. Now, keep in mind, we don't want to always react to things when if you get back into a relationship. You don't need to react quickly to the next situation or the next marriage or the next relationship. The minute you see one thing working one way or looks similar to what you've experienced before, you always want to just pray about it and have some discernment to understand, like, okay, yes, this looks exactly like what happened before, but instead of me running away from this, let me approach this. Let me talk about this with this person and see what the intention is here, because I may have the wrong intention from my experience. And my hope is that, the heartbreak really doesn't erase who you are, but it does reveal parts of you that was hidden. And sometimes you may realize that you were never you. Sometimes you'll realize they were never who they said they were. But at the end of the day, things happen to you after a breakup. You start to see a different side of you that you never saw before or that you haven't seen in a long time. And my hope and prayer is that it's more of a realization about your self-worth and less of a meditation on devaluing who you are because they left you or you guys are divorced. So, um, this is also not the end of your story, okay? When you're going through a breakup, when you're going through a divorce, it's not the end of your story. It is, a hard chapter that you have to overcome, and but it does have a powerful purpose in the end. I'll just share from my experience, man. It After my first divorce, and I've been divorced twice, so yeah, I had to learn the hard way. But after my first divorce, man, I just remember the feeling of thinking life was over. Even though I was 100% sure that this was ending because of the situation that took place and the disconnect that was starting to become stronger. I had to realize that, yes, this situation is ending, but not me. I still have a life to live. I still have a purpose. And it took me surrounding myself with positive people, with people who were challenging me to become uh, me, to get better, not bitter, right? To keep growing and going. Um, I also had to cut off some of the friends who were just all about, hey man, let's just go out, let's just have fun and do whatever you want to do, get wild, right? Because all that stuff was doing was just filling the void. All that was doing for me was just having me shove away or put away the emotions that I needed to process, the feelings that I needed to go through. And I'm going to tell you right now, you need to go through it. Take whatever time you need to heal and overcome these emotions and feelings that you may be having, but don't just do things to avoid feeling it. Now, this isn't the time when you're in that situation when you are trying to just feel what's happening, what you're dealing with and process the emotions. This isn't the time to beat yourself up. This isn't the time to think about what ifs. This is the time to realize what was, what is, and what will be. Okay. This is the time for you to understand, okay, I can't fully be upset because I did choose to be with this person for whatever reason. I chose to date them or marry them, whatever. So I won't forget what was because there was something there. I'm going to look at what it is now and realize, okay, this is where we are now. This is where the disconnects happen. This is where these are the things I may not understand, but this is just where I am today and process that and then realize where do you want to be? Where are you trying to go next? I would also encourage you to don't isolate yourself. Sure, you may be in a situation where you may have to change your friend group because you all share the same mutual friends or whatever that the case may be. And if that is the case for you, I encourage you to surround yourself as best you can with people who love you, people who are going to, again, support you, not in a way for you to feel pity for yourself, but in a way for you to uh, grow and go, right? People, your friend group should be encouraging you to become and move forward in a positive light, not a negative light. They should be helping you process this in a productive way, not just a negative way of just retaliation and things like that. That shouldn't. That's not going to do anything. Is as much as I know you probably want to slash them tires or key that car, it's really not going to do anything. Now, if you really want to take out some aggression and stuff like that, then get some kickboxing lessons or something, so you can just let that out, But yeah, bleaching clothes and keying cars is not the way to go for sure. Um, but anyway, yes, surround yourself with good people so that you can really get through this thing. Okay. Um, Again, it's not going to be easy, but the biggest thing that helped me was surrounding myself with people who actually cared, who actually remembered who I was and wanted me to become who I am, right? So think about that. Think about that as you're moving forward and trying to, become yourself after the breakup. And another like key point that I want you to think about is, you're still becoming in the midst of, like, even before the breakup, even before the divorce, you're still becoming, you're still developing you. So even though there's a part of you that feels like it's missing, that part that feels like it's missing, it's valid. It's valid because we as human beings, we were created to be in relationship. We were created to love people. We were created to have relationship. Now, I use this word in a people engagement sense, and not necessarily a physical engagement sense. All right. Some of y'all may be thinking, "Oh, I was created to just be sleeping around." What? No, that's not what I'm saying. You were created to be in relationship with people. So when you lose that, especially in a marriage or especially in a dating phase, is depending on how long you guys been dating, it feels like a part of you is missing and you don't know what to do with you. That's okay to feel that way, but don't stay that way. You are still becoming. So get out, find relationship, find people to socialize with and just grow and become. I used mentors. I used uh, young adult groups, things like that to just, well, at the time I was a young adult. Now I'm quite not so young ish. They call me Unc now. So, but anyway, that's besides the point. Get yourself around people who are going to love you and just be present in your life. They don't have to be around you each and every day. Now, that's not what I'm saying. But if you needed some sugar, could you get some sugar from them? Could you get borrow a stick of butter? You know what I'm saying? That them type of people. Yeah, keep them in your life because those are the type of people who are gonna just uh, really help you see the value in relationship with not just yourself or not just your significant other, but with people. There's value in relationship. Sure, I'm 100% sure of that. I have it every day. I have it with my neighbor. I have it with coworkers. So don't close yourself off. Understand that you feeling like there's something missing. That's valid, but realize you are becoming, and you should surround yourself with people so that you can have healthy relationships in your life. Speaking of healthy relationships, one thing that I learned after the break was I learned to identify what was really bad about the relationship. I would, if I were you, take the time when you're processing to identify what went wrong. Sometimes you may not even know. And when you don't know, I just encourage you to just pray for healing and clarity and understanding. Because sometimes things just happen and you're not even sure what went wrong. I remember the first breakup, the first true, like, heartbreaking breakup I had. Good God, I just don't know what to do with myself. It took almost 8, maybe 10 years before I really got the true answer of what happened and, why. And it was interesting because all this time I was thinking something else. Well, at least for the first 3, 4 years. But I got to this place where I started to realize, okay, I can either sit here and contemplate and try to map out everything that went wrong and pinpoint places of, oh, that's what happened, or oh, that's why we broke up. I could sit here and try to think about all these different things, or I could just let it go and say, you know what, I forgive that person for what they've done, and I also forgive myself for what I may have done that I do not understand. Because one thing I can't do is sit and dwell on something for years and years at a time and not live my life, because I'm still trying to solve the problem, solve the mystery of what happened. So if you're in that situation where you don't know what happened, you're not sure how you guys broke up, my encouragement to you is to pray about it, let it go so you can grow, and just learn to forgive yourself and learn to forgive them, because the truth will come. And some, it may not ever come out to you. I know it came out for me about what actually happened, but at the end of the day, you just got to learn to love yourself again, forgive them so you can move on, and forgive yourself for whatever thoughts you might have, whatever lies you may have told yourself, just to make everything seem like, okay, this is it. This is the reason why. And because this, if I say it's because they cheated on me, it makes me feel better. When really they may not have cheated on you. They may have just hung out with somebody and nothing really happened. We don't know. You don't know. At the end of the day, especially when you don't know, this is not the time for you to play Mr. Inspector Gadget. This is the time for you to really say, you know what? I don't understand what happened. Clearly, something was missing between us. There's a miscommunication somewhere. So I'm going to, especially if y'all dating, I'm going to trust that God's got it and I can move on. But I'll start with forgiving them and forgiving myself for something that I may have done that I do not understand, and just move on. Because, yeah, again, you don't want to be stuck in that mindset for years at a time, guessing and trying to figure out what went wrong. Move on. Other thing is, let go of the shame too. Like, let go of the thought of, I'm going through a divorce, or we've been together for so long and now we're finally breaking up. This is just unfair. I failed, or whatever you telling yourself right now. I told myself I failed. I've been divorced twice, so I was like, dang, I'm failing at this. I suck at marriage. And I had to realize, like, it's not that divorce didn't mean, like, divorce isn't failure, right? It's what you could have had. It's like you're realizing what you could have had. But you do realize you did what you could with what you had, right? But grace belongs in this space, and I guess I'll say that a little bit more, a little clearer. Divorce isn't failure. You did what you could with what you had. Now allow grace to fill in the space. There are so many people, especially religious folks, that when someone goes through a divorce, instead of loving that person and figuring out how they can support that person, they judge that person and make them feel like they failed. Make them feel like they just committed the greatest sin of on earth. And I want to talk to you, if someone's making you feel like that, they're not real. They're not real. They're real religious, but they're not real Christian. They're not real people who walk in love. They walk in rules. They walk in religion. Because the one thing that Christ has taught us is to love people. and serve people. And, you know, do as the word of God tells us to do. God said he didn't ever say you couldn't get divorced. He just hates divorce because of what it does to the family, what it does to the children, and the covenant it breaks when it comes to marriage. Now, we can get into all this biblical stuff about divorce and whatnot, but I'm not going to do that right now. We can talk about that in another episode. Right now, what I want to share with you is if someone is making you feel like you are a failure because of the church you go to or whatever and y'all marriage broke, give yourself grace. You didn't fail. You did the best with what you could. You did the best with what you had. Now, if you made a mistake and there the reason for the divorce is because of your own actions and your own doing, then own up, take ownership of that, and realize, okay, I made a mistake. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to move forward and grow. Seek forgiveness, seek mentorship, counseling, whatever it is that you have to do to get through. Again, I also want to just make sure we're making this clear too. I am talking to people right now who are going through a breakup and it wasn't their fault, or they were the ones surprised with this happening because everything seemed to be going well, or maybe things were getting worse and you really wanted to keep it together. We can go on a whole nother episode about, those people who were in the wrong, people who stepped outside the marriage, people who didn't, you know, deal with the things that need to be dealt with to better the marriage. We can talk about that on another episode. Right now, I'm just speaking strictly to people who are trying to heal and overcome life and overcome the divorce, overcome the breakup, regardless what situation it was, whether you were the one doing the cheating or whether you were the one being cheated on. Everyone will be hurting in some way along the way, for sure. So here we go. Let go of the shame and understand that, some days you feel strong, other days you just want to cry, but both parts of the process is needed. Like both crying and feeling strong is needed. It's a part of the healing journey. There will be days where that one song may come on and you just got to let it out. There will be days where, you may drive by or walk by that place where you guys first met, whatever the case may be. And you just have to sit there and realize, like, okay, instead of sobbing in this, I'm going to understand where I came from. I don't look at a situation or I don't look at a location or hear a song and go, man, I miss what it was. No, I look at it and say, man, look how much I've grown. Look how much I've overcome. And if you're somebody right now who can't say, look how much you've grown because you've been still sitting in, well, what if and could we be? I encourage you right now to let it go so that you can grow. Whatever you're trying to hold on to. I mean, some of y'all still holding on to a breakup in a relationship and then y'all been broken up and divorced for, 3-4 years now. Let it go. Move on. Your life is waiting for you. So learn to look at those places, those songs, those spaces, those friends, and look at yourself and say to yourself, look how much I've grown. It's going to be worth it in the end. Trust me. And you got to take some time to reconnect with you too. It's very important for you to sit back and realize who you are, who you want to be. Again, learn to overcome the situation and become the best version of yourself. Become you again. Because breakups, they're not something I recommend people go through. But they happen. Divorce, not something I recommend people go through. But they happen. And it takes a lot out of you. But you got to take the time that when that happens, you got to take the time to remember you and connect with you. Because there is a side of you that does feel lost. But I can promise you, there's also a side of you that is waiting to be found. It is better than what you had before. So reconnect with yourself and realize that, or I guess you could ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself the questions. Ask yourself, who was I before them? Actually, the more I think about that question that I just said, I remember going through a breakup, and the person, she used a phrase or something like, you know, you can't live without me or whatever, something like that. And I was like, look, I lived 22 years on this earth without you. I'm pretty sure I could live 22 years more. Like, just remember that. Like, who were you before them, right? You could live without them, right? The other question I would say, ask yourself is, who are you becoming now? Like, what is your focus now moving forward? Okay, it happened, it's over. Who do I need to become now? Wiser, softer, stronger, whatever it is. Decide, ask yourself that, and think about that. The other thing that really, really, truly helped me with that is realizing, like, what did I really need in the relationships? If you're overcoming divorce and everything, you're thinking about getting back into a relationship or whatever, like, what do I really need in the next relationship? And I'll get into more details about this. I'm not even sure. I really enjoyed talking about healing and becoming, especially when it comes to marriage and relationships, because like I said, I've been divorced twice, and I understand that feeling, and I understand that thought of nobody's there to hear me out. Nobody's there to help me through this thing because everybody is too busy, judging me or too busy going through their own problems. So um, I'm here for you. I got you. Uh, but I will say this: I learned to ask myself and write down, what do I need in the next relationship? I didn't focus on what I wanted, because when you understand what you need, your wants change. They do. When you start to realize what you need, you'll be able to identify it without even asking for it. You could just see it. So, yeah, ask yourself those questions as well. What do I need? What can I give? Here's an affirmation for you. I always love leaving you guys with affirmation. I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap this up. But this is something I want you to think about and kind of keep in the back of your mind as you're becoming after this break, after this divorce, after this breakup. No, things aren't perfect. Yes, I'm hurting, but I'm still becoming. This time, not for them, but for me. So say that to yourself. No, things aren't perfect. Yes, I am hurting, but I'm still becoming. And it's not for them. This time, it's for me. So I want you to do something for me real quick. Not real quick, but when you get a chance, I want you to really write a letter to yourself about, who are you becoming after this break? Who are you becoming after this divorce? Because the beauty about being honest about where you are and where you want to be is it gives you guidance and a sense of hope in recognizing when those doors actually open. Because if you have no idea where you want to go and where you want to be, you're going to be forever wandering and wandering. So write it down. Who am I becoming after this divorce? Who am I becoming after this breakup? So that you know where to go. So that you can recognize when doors open up for you in that space, for you to become, you're going right in, because you know that's the door. That's the way you should go. So again, um, after you write that letter to yourself about who you are becoming, I want you to read it back to yourself. Read it back to yourself when you're feeling sad, when healing is feels hard, when you're being challenged. Read that letter out loud to yourself, because what that's going to do is that's going to remind you that you're still healing. that you still have purpose, that there is still value in your life. And no, the the thoughts never really go away, but you do heal. And the more that you are able to heal and share this your story with someone else, the easier it becomes to become and do what you need to do and be who you need to be. Because now your story is setting other people free as it has set you free. So that is actually, there's so much more I can talk about, but I'm not sure what we're going to do with the next episode. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about this because I am running into a lot of people that's going through breakups and divorces. So, yeah, if this is something you guys want to know more about or have questions about and would like me to talk about it in the next episode, please, leave it in the comments or, reach out to me on YouTube or Instagram, and let's get through this. Let's figure out how we can overcome and become right together. I have my own personal experiences, and I'm sure you have yours, and I know we can all, help each other out in whatever way possible. You can find me on IG at I am Alexander 214, YouTube channel I am Alexander Clark 214. But we are just here to overcome and become and grow. So I really appreciate y'all for tuning in to the Not Perfect But Ready podcast. And again, we are just here to choose progress over perfection as we are all becoming in and taking life as it is a journey in learning together. I'll see y'all in the next one.